This photo was taken on August 4th, 1948. And when I originally saw this photo, I thought for sure it was fake. Like, careful, if you keep backing up, we're gonna sell you. I've seen this photo everywhere, so I decided to look into it, and it's dark. This photo right here is not a fake photo. Let me tell you about this. On August 5th, this photo was a part of an article that was placed in an Indiana newspaper. It shows a mother with her 4 kids on her doorstep with a sign that says children for sale. Now, even back then in 1948, this was shocking. So much so that this story was actually circulated throughout all of the United States. Well, 2 years after this photo was taken, all of these kids were in fact sold, including the one that this woman was pregnant with at the time of this photo. This right here is Lucille Chalafou, and at the time she was 24 years old. Her husband Ray was 40 years old, and he worked as a coal truck driver. Now, one day Ray loses his job. Now, eventually got to the point where they were facing eviction. They had all these bills that they couldn't pay, as well as all of these mouths they had to feed. So facing homelessness, they decided we're gonna sell all of our kids. Now, shortly after this photo was taken, Lucille's husband Ray actually abandoned the family, and Lucille started dating a man that wanted nothing to do with these kids, which only further pushed her to sell them. Now, the story's already sad, but it gets worse. The names of these kids are Lana, who is 6, Ray Ann, who's 5, Milton, who's 4, and Sue Ellen, who's 2. And of course, the one that she's pregnant with was named Bedford. So here's what happened. Ray Ann was sold to a farmer for $2. That's equivalent to $26 today. It's not a lot. And what's worse is apparently that money was used for bingo. Now, while Ray Ann was being taken away by these farmers, her brother Milton started crying. And because of that, they decided, okay, we'll just take them both. It's important you know, they were never officially adopted. Now, the people that adopted them were the Zodermans. Once they got them home, they changed their names. Ray Ann became Beverly, and Milton became Kenneth Zoderman. Now, what's sad is that they bought them for this sole purpose of working on their farm. In fact, the first day that Milton was brought back, he was abused and was told that he was going to be used as a slave. It got so bad that they even chained them up in their barn. So Ray Ann and Milton grew up in Indiana. Eventually, Milton went on to live with his aunt and uncle. Now, through some research, I was actually able to find their yearbooks. This right here is a class photo with Ray Ann. But of course, since her name was changed, it's labeled as Beverly Zoderman. And this is the class photo of Kenneth Zoderman. Now, due to years of abuse, Milton actually started having fits of rage, and they increasingly became more violent as he got older. He was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now, one day the police were called for an altercation involving Milton. Now, during that altercation, he actually threw a police officer into a tree, which landed him in front of a judge in a court. Now, that judge deemed him a menace to society and put him into a mental hospital. Now, for Ray Ann, it didn't get much better. At 17, Ray Ann was kidnapped and attacked, and from that she became pregnant. And when her adoptive parents found out that she was pregnant, they sent her off to a home for unwed mothers. And by the time she got back, her child was given up for adoption. And from that moment on, she never ended up going back to the Zodermans ever again. Next up, let's look at Bedford. This was the baby that Lucille was pregnant with at the time of this photo. Now, he was given away at the age of 2 to the McDaniel family. Now, when they got him, his body was covered in bedbug bites. They then changed his name to David McDaniel, and then he was raised in a strictly religious household, but it was supportive of him. Now, it just so happened that he was adopted close by to where Ray Ann and Milton were. In fact, it was so close that he would often bike over there and sneak into the barn, unchaining Ray Ann and Milton before sneaking back out. Now, at 16, David ended up running away and joining the military, where he ended up serving in the Vietnam War. Next is Sue Ellen. Now, Sue Ellen was actually adopted by a couple that was close by to where this photo was taken. There wasn't actually too much on Sue Ellen. Unfortunately, she died in 2013 due to lung disease. But right before she died, she was reunited with Ray Ann. Lastly, we got Lana. Now, Lana was actually sent to live with her grandmother. And at 13, Lucille actually wanted her back. Not because she wanted to raise her, but because Lucille loved to drink and play bingo. And she decided she was going to take Lana back for the sole purpose as a free babysitter for her 4 new kids that she had with her new husband. She got rid of 5 kids, remarried, and had 4 new kids, all of which that she kept. Unfortunately, Lana died in 1998 before she could reunite with her siblings. So that's the backstory of this photo. But just know, this wasn't a product of old school satire humor. This was a real photo. This story is incredibly sad. But what's even more sad is some of the kids actually reunited with Lucille later in life. She never apologized, never regretted it, and all that she said to Milton, yeah, you do look like your dad. There you guys have it. The dark history of this famous photo. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and follow for more history on vintage photos, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys later.